the co-head of the Asia Center at the Italian Institute for International Political Studies. Great to have you on with us. I'm wondering, are the strained
Thank you very much.
relations between the U.S. and Saudi Arabia a golden opportunity for China to step in and increase its presence in the Middle East?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first of all, China has been stepping in for over the last couple of years, so it's nothing. It's not something new. It is something that China has been doing over the last couple of years. To be sure, we have maybe more tense relations between Washington and Riyadh than maybe a year ago, but China stepping up its cooperation with Saudi Arabia, as you mentioned. In your moderation, China being Saudi Arabia's biggest trading partner, Saudi Arabia being China's biggest supplier of crude oil. It's really I think it's more it's business as usual, and China you've been very active, and of course he's a very welcome guest. There's no talks about human rights violation, as you mentioned. There's no talk about democracy. It's Chinese business as usual, value-free diplomacy, and there you go. It's business over principle, and Xi Jinping and the Saudi leader, of course, are very much on the same page.
What do you make of the timing and the optics of this visit? This is Xi's first visit to Saudi Arabia in 6 years, but it comes just 5 months after Biden was there. And the way that Xi was received when he arrived in Riyadh with all the pomp and circumstance, the flyover and everything, was far different from how Biden was received.
Absolutely. Yeah, this is the press is all over this, right? I mean, Biden got this very sober reception. Nothing much came out of the visit. In fact, it was very disappointing from a U.S. point of view, and she is being received with all possible honors. And I think it's clear and it's obvious that Saudi Arabia's leader, was was trying to set an example, saying, look, if you Xi Jinping, Chinese leader, not asking any concessions on human rights or anything like this, is of course much more welcome than maybe U.S. president who has in the past been very critical of Saudi Arabia's human rights record. Came there to asking Saudi Arabia to increase the output, the production of oil. It's a different scenario. I think it's a clear political message being sent to the U.S. that look, those who do not ask for too many concessions are much more welcome than the U.S., which has been in the past. And the Biden visit made that clear, asking for concessions. So I think it's a political message. I don't know how important it is at the end of the day, because what is being decided would have been decided anyway and would have been agreed anyway between Saudi Arabia and China. So there's lots of money to be made between those two countries. And of course, he got all possible honors. And you can say, well, that's great, and that's a much better reception than Biden got a few months ago. But in substance, I think it is nothing exceptional. I think it was 34 agreements, a lot of money going back and forth. Nothing wrong with this, and nothing exceptional as regards distance.
How do you think the U.S. will receive that message, though, that political message that's being sent? Biden did say that he didn't want to cede U.S. power in the region. Are they likely to view this visit as some sort of threat to the U.S.'s stake in the Middle East?
Yeah, maybe that's going a bit too far. I don't think it's going to be perceived as a threat. But of course, the U.S. and other Western countries too, but especially the U.S. Looking at this very carefully. And of course, it's two dictators meeting each other. This is business as usual between two dictators. Yes, of course. I'm sure they will not voice anything. The administration will not say anything in public about this, and will probably keep a low profile in order not to to make a big public deal out of this. But behind the scenes, certainly there's concern. There's wariness, but I don't think that the U.S. feels threatened by Xi Jinping visiting Saudi Arabia, because it happened in the past, will happen in the future. Sure, the U.S. is of course very interested in securing its interest in Saudi Arabia, And China is clearly, a competitor, a systemic competitor, but also very much a competitor on the ground, and this time on Saudi Arabian ground.
All right, we'll leave it there. Axel Berkofsky joining us from Florence. Thank you.
Thank you very much.